thank you so much for being here. I truly appreciate your presence. For anyone who's completely new to your work, could you maybe look back a little with me and share with the audience how you actually got to the point to call yourself a question queen and being a mind-shifting speaker? I mean, it's quite extraordinary. So could you tell us a little bit about that?
Yes. So I help managers with effective communication for successful leadership. So since I work as a leadership communication coach, I love doing my job. I usually work with very small groups, and people are like, we want to know more, or things like, it makes click. And I was like, yes, I love it. It was so cool. And then I was thinking of how I can reach a broader audience, because I only usually work with a maximum of 8 people in a seminar, or 1 person in a coaching. Yeah. And people were like, you should be on stage. And I was like, I think I should be on stage.
Let's fit it more into the frame.
Yes. And so people were like, oh, you should do keynotes. I'm like, yeah, sure, I can do keynotes.
If I can do 8 people, I can do keynotes.
I absolutely. I mean, to be fair, I used to do presentations a lot. I did a lot of training in it, but I actually didn't know what an actual keynote was. And then I started this, it was like a certification, become a professional keynote speaker. I was like, okay, I had no idea what a keynote was.
To start with, well, you start with the basics, right?
Yes, you start with, well, the basics I knew, but like there's a very big difference between a seminar, a presentation, or a lecture, and then a keynote.
And what's the difference between the two?
The difference is the way you communicate on stage. Because if you're in a seminar or a presentation, it's kind of like a lecture at uni. I teach you something, whereas a keynote is storytelling. And it's pure storytelling. It's a lot of metaphors, like the blue dot of banana, right? So I developed my first keynote, which is called Powerful Questions, Meaningful Answers. Ask right. And what it covers is what people frustrates most about questions. It's getting a way too long answer, getting a way too short answer, or not getting answers at all. And so in this keynote, I focus on solving this issue. And since my keynote performed so well, the kind of like the president who gave me the certificate, he was like, you're the question queen. I was like, I'll take it.
Okay, interesting development. Because I can understand that with that also comes a lot of, well, responsibility and maybe demands. How do you, and which mental habits did you actually develop to still protect your peace, but still delivering results to managers, leaders, the people you help?
Yes, I meditate twice a day. That's like brushing my teeth, non-negotiable when I get up, right when I get up and right before I go to bed, which is probably wrong, but that's the time I actually do it, and that helps me a lot. And apart from that, I do a lot of sports in order to reduce the cortisol and adrenaline. And that's what keeps me safe and meeting a lot of my friends, basically.
That can do a trick or two. To touch upon that, I believe that also it was never always like this, you know, to be a speaker, to go out on stage, to have presentations. Which point in your career led to that breaking point, but also which question did you need to start asking yourself to let go of the version who you were before to the version who you are now?
I think one of the major breaking points was when I still gave a presentation, but I got standing ovations. And I was like, holy crap, that's such a good thing.
I want more of this.
I want more of this. I think I'm really good at it. And they think so too. So that was the starting point. That's when I started telling my friends, hey guys, I want to go in that direction. And it was funny because my best friend from high school, I told him, and he's like, finally. I was like, what do you mean with finally? And he's like, that just fits so much better than what you do right now.
Because was there something that people thought you would be doing instead, or did you saw yourself doing something else before that?
No, I loved the connection that I could have when I'm on stage, and I wanted to do more of that. And I received so much good feedback that it was kind of like a one step at a time process. I can't jump to being a multi-million-dollar speaker, obviously not, but I'm gradually improving, and yeah.
And now, and which part does the mind-shifting speaker come into play? Because we have the question queen,
yes.
but also you have a part where you say you are shifting minds, basically.
Yes.
What does it mean to be a mind-shifting speaker? And basically, what does it mean to the people? And what do they get out of it when you are on stage?
Yeah, I've told you that people tell me it makes click. I'm not sure if that's a German saying, but it's like I flip a switch and it makes sense. Communication and leadership, and a lot of times where it goes wrong, makes sense to them. And that's where I create the mind shift. And that's why I called myself the mind shifting speaker, because it doesn't matter if it's the question queen, which is the one topic about questions, or if it's the blue dotted banana, it's always a mind shift.
And what are the top 2 bottlenecks that people are coming to you for to maybe get a perspective reframed or maybe their leadership enhanced? What are the top 2 bottlenecks that you're seeing?
I think I would go bigger. Because for the past couple of years, we've looked at the major issues that leaders have. And one is they have to speak properly. So they have to get across what they want to get across. And the second one is they have to interact. Obviously, there's a lot of team members that they have to lead, and maybe even other levels that they have to communicate with, or clients. So the interaction part. And the third one is they have to make an impact. They have to make decisions. They have to look how to improve and then go back. And it's kind of like a circle that repeats itself in leadership.
So you take them through this, process where basically every stage leads to, eventually making them either speak better or enhance their leadership quality. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, exactly.
Interesting. Because I want to lead with that actually, because I'm focusing on the younger generation, as you might know. And one thing that I noticed is that often still people compare themselves and they do not seem to get out of it. As a mind-shifting speaker and a question queen, what is a question or perspective you can offer them so the moment when comparison arises, they can snap out of it and focus on their own path?
Stop. You don't need more than that. Just stop. Focus on yourself. One step at a time. You are you. And one thing I have on my vision board, you are the CEO of your life. Don't compare yourself with others. I never did. When people ask me, how did you get into being self-employed? How many other people did you look at? I was like, none. And they're like, well, how did you know what you needed to do? I'm like, I just did what I thought people needed. But how did you know you weren't right? I'm like, I didn't care. I was just like gradually improving. I didn't have to compare myself, and you don't either. No one of you.
How do you think people can start building that attitude? Because not everyone maybe has that same mentality or is in the stage where they feel maybe that's too big of a step. Is there a middle ground where they could start with to actually build that, personality to eventually lead with, focusing on their own path?
Yes. So there's a couple of things that you could do. One thing is, I'll try to translate it. It's like 10 minutes of ranting. So you can take 10 minutes of like writing everything down that is annoying or not working. And then you can look at the things that you can change and then change them. And the things you can't change, leave them, right?
When do you think people change? Because I think that's also a very interesting concept.
Pain. If the pain is big enough. And I'm actually just reading a really cute book where it says it's a dating book. I'm not dating actually, but it's like a tiny dating coach, and he will help you whenever your thoughts go, I'm not good enough, I'm struggling, why are others better? And he will just be like, stop. What do you like about yourself? What do you like about your life? And it's really funny because obviously it's a book, but I can see how that can relate to me as well, because I've just been injured, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, I'm the poorest person in the world. I cannot walk, I cannot use my arm, everything is horrible. I'm like, no, no, you're so incredibly lucky. You have great family, you have great friends. So I think one thing, and that's what I would give anybody, is 3 gratitude things before going to bed. And you can either do that by yourself and put it on a sheet of paper, a book maybe if you want to collect it, or you just turn to your partner before you go to bed and just be like, those 3 things I'm really grateful for today.
And how do you think this helps people? Because what I'm seeing happening is that people sometimes stick to these habits, but after a week, they stop.
Accountability partner. So for me, it was a lot easier with my partner because it was like this, mandatory sounds bad, but it was like, it has become a ritual. And if we don't see each other, we'll just message each other. And sometimes if I'm on vacation and I'm just so tired, I forget. And then he's like, you forgot. I'm like, okay.
I'm going to do it.
I'll have to do it the next day, or I'll just message in the morning. And for me, it's this really good ritual for positivity. And if I can't do it myself, I'll give some friends a call to kind of like give me a kick in the butt and be like, have me be more grateful for what I have, or I will call a coach. And I cannot even tell you, I have a coach, I have a mentor, I have accountability partners, and I have heaps of friends. So I kind of like try to figure out what works for me, and that's really good.
And I have an interesting metaphor. I was, because talking about comparison and everything that we're going through, building the capacity to be more grateful and focusing on the right things. What do you think about this? People should stop listening to themselves and start talking more to themselves.
Absolutely. I was just like, one of my friends, she's a mental growth coach, I would say. And she even told me to talk to my individual body parts if they're hurting. And I was like, that's insane. But since I had my injury, I was like, well, please, knee, be kind to me. I love you. You've been taking care of me, carrying me my whole life. And it's actually like working. It's like, Well,
what does that shift bring you? Because I think there are so many things to focus on nowadays that we could feel miserable about. But what keeps you focused on, the good things in life? That it's still, possible to, get out of the misery and still focus on good things in life?
I think it's the feeling that I get when I do, because we do feel sometimes down, overwhelmed, overworked. That's human, right? And there are some people that just want to stay in bed and they don't want to get up and they don't want to do anything. But when they do, then they're like, oh, the weather is super nice. The cocktails taste really well. And so for me, it's always like it's just a phase, and just get up and do something. And if it's not worth it, you can still go back to bed.
Yeah.
It's always worth it. So.
And I think I want to lead with that, because one thing that I found so interesting is that the whole reason why I'm doing this is that I believe in prevention instead of repair. Sometimes things can be too late to be repaired, or you're there and the damage is too severe. And therefore, I would love to ask you some questions about my community as well, because they were very interested in the things that you were doing.
Yes.
So one of the questions that I got was about, competence and answers. So first question is, how do I set up and show competence in a meeting when I do not have all the answers?
You just have to have questions, because that's the cool thing. People, and that's what my leaders usually have, what if I don't have the answers? I'm like, you don't have to. Just, it's kind of like pulling on threads, just getting the right answers. And the first answer might not be the one that you needed, then just ask another question, right? And just...
So we say come prepared, having your questions ready.
Come prepared, or just be really good at asking questions.
Really good at asking questions. How does someone get good at asking questions?
Exercise. So get yourself into the topic. Look at what questions to do. So what I say is you open the thoughts of someone or you close the thoughts of someone. And a lot of times people ask closing questions. And then they get a short yes or no, and they're really frustrated. I'm like, yeah, obviously. That's,
because that's the answer you wanted.
that's how you asked, even though you didn't intend to. So I did a systemic coaching certification, right? I'm a systemic coach.
For the people who do not know, by the way, what is systemic coaching?
Great question. Systemic coaching says that we all live in a system. And if you change one part of the system, the entire system changes. That is the core thing. And so it's systemic solution focused coaching. So we say we coach people to find their answers. And we don't ever look at the problem. The problem is in the past. We always look at the solution, at the future, at the next steps. And by getting yourself into systemic coaching, you start being really good at asking questions. I mean, I had this really good advantage of already knowing a lot of these things. No, it was in all honesty, because I would always call people out. That was a closed question. That was a closed no. And they're like, damn it.
We don't go there anymore.
Yeah. But yeah, I would, for yourself, always invest in yourself. And if it's systemic coaching or anything else that helps you for your mental health, do it. Like, just think about how much you spend on Starbucks or any other coffee. If you calculate how much you spend on that a year, take that money and invest it in your education, honestly.
People start seriously need to look into how much they actually value themselves and what they are worth. Because if you look at it like that, I cannot do the math right now, but let's say you're getting 2 Starbucks a day, €5, do that for 7 days a week, then, you know, basically 365 days, that's a lot of money you could spend and invest in yourself. And I think you're familiar with this, but I once learned, it was in a podcast from Jim Rohn, I don't know if you've heard of him, but he says, we are all equals as souls, but we are not equal in the marketplace. And the marketplace only rewards one thing, and that is what you can bring to the market as value. And I also think that a lot of people need to start investing in themselves way more than they do in any kind of company that they work in. Would you agree with that?
I would agree, and I would add one more thing, because you said the value you bring to the market. I would negate that and say the value you can communicate to the market. Because I have a lot of really talented colleagues and they just don't get out there, and nobody knows that what they could bring to the market. And yeah, that's so sad. I spend around 20 to 25,000 euros a year on my education, right? And I'm only able to do that because I'm self-employed and I can reinvest, and it's much easier if you have your own company. But
also, it's not given. For the people who are watching, every time when someone starts his own company, success is not given. You really have to build it. I think that's same for you as well. Some people thought like, oh, they're just successful because they're born with it. What do you think is the most common misconception people have about that people just get something instead of people actually need to work for where they want to be?
That's already the misconception. You have to work for it. And obviously, there are some people that have an advantage. They know people. For me, when I started, people were like, how are you going to get clients? And I was kind of like, I have no idea.
You just start.
I just started, and then I was telling people like, yeah, I'm doing this. I'm doing leadership communication trainings. And they were like, great. I was like, great. And then I left, and then I would get a call. Hey, Valerie, you've been recommended to me. I'm like, by whom?
Well, how did you get my number?
How did you get my number? And that keeps on happening. So like, I have never spent a dime in marketing so far.
Incredible.
It's only referrals. They don't get any money. They just like what I'm doing. And yeah.
And you also build it by yourself. I think this is a solid foundation, and that actually led to an incredible answer. I really hope they can work with that. The second question that I wanted to leave with, something more personal, that someone asked. In a heated and highly emotional conversation, I struggle to share my side of the story while also showing the other person that I truly hear them. What is a practical way to balance both so that the conversation stays productive?
Let's reschedule. Absolutely. You have the amygdala, which is part in your brain, and depending on who you were in like those ancient days, if you're a hunter or a fruit, whatever, you will react differently. And when it gets very emotional, you cannot think. Okay, that's like even scientifically proven. You can't think. And I was actually training with one of my clients to calm your nerves down. So there's like finger exercises that you could do. What I really like is a rooting exercise. But that takes time. And even when I'm super energetic and I want to listen and I want to ask the right questions, I want to understand the other person's world. But right now I just can't. I'll say reschedule.
And by reschedule, what you mean, like literally another day? Is it an hour, 30 minutes?
That really depends on you. It depends on how big it is. It depends on how often you can see each other, who it is. For my private partnership, we have a code word. And when we say the code word, we know that we end this conversation and we'll pick up when both of us are more calm again.
So I would say, if you're in a relationship or what type of relationship you might have, whether business or an intimate relationship, a code word would work, but also practice those moments with each other. Like if there's something that you're maybe dealing with and you know it's going to be heated, be aware of that, remember that, but also hold yourself accountable for the moments when it arises, so you can actually say like, hey, we need to draw the line here, let's reschedule. That
was a very long question. What was the question?
It was not a question, it was a statement.
It was a statement, yes, absolutely. So, I agree. You can be held accountable for what you do. You have to find your way, right? You will react completely differently than anybody else, and it doesn't matter if it's private or business. Just try to be the bigger person in the room. And it's really funny because I've only had one seminar participant say, I don't want to be the bigger person in the room. And we're kind of like all looking at that person and we're like, okay.
What did you say in that moment? Because how...
She was probably one of the most challenging seminar participants. It was actually a change in perspective seminar. And she was not prepared for that. She's like, if I give feedback, the other person has to listen. And I was trying to tell her that she should listen to the other side of the story because, I don't know, have I told you the story about the pots with the water?
No.
Okay, can I show it?
Yes,
tell
you can.
Okay, because people understand it very easily. Just imagine I give you a pot with hot water.
Yeah.
All right. I want you to imaginary put your hands into the hot water.
Okay.
Amazing. Great. I have a pot with ice cold water. I put my hands in there, and in the middle I put another pot with water, and that just has room temperature. Okay. I now want you to take out your hands out of your pot and put it into the middle, into the pot there. How does it feel to you?
More of like not as hot and stifling. Like I can manage to be here, in the place, like stay there, I would say.
How does the temperature feel like? Is it hotter or colder?
I would say a bit colder.
Okay, really? Can't be, because it's definitely, open your eyes, Robin, it's definitely warmer. Who's right?
We would both have our own perception, I guess.
Exactly. So if one and the same pot of water feels different to two people, and both are right, how is it for every other situation in your life? It's my world is not your world. And if people understand that, that's where communication starts.
And then you can have an actual dialogue with someone.
Then you can have an actual dialogue with someone.
I think that's a very valuable metaphor. When things get heated, remember the pot metaphor.
Yeah, you don't know how many people are like, I've talked about the pots again. I was like, yeah, please do.
Yeah, go ahead. It will be my pleasure.
Yeah, I refer to you, Valerie. I'm like, yeah, please do.
Well, I got two last questions actually from the community. A lot of the younger generation, this is the question for de-escalation. I tend to react defensively when I'm criticized, which kills the conversation. Is there a specific phrase or question that the expert, referring to you, can memorize, or so that I can memorize, to de-escalate a moment, stay calm, and actually listen?
I absolutely get that, because...
Are you a heated person yourself sometimes?
I don't like to be attacked. I don't like people telling me what I've done wrong without telling me actually what I've done. And I did tend to defend myself as well. And what I do right now is I try to calm myself. And
how do you do that? How do you calm yourself in the moment?
I breathe. So I did a lot of yoga when I was younger, and then I will ask, why do you think like that? What exactly did I do? And here is the thing where my feedback framework works a lot. People a lot of times will tell you the effect it lead to. Okay, so you were annoying, or you were lazy, or whatever, and then if I asked them what did I do, and they were like, you were being lazy. I'm like, no, that's not behavior. You need to actually focus on behavior, and what you can do as an active person, you can clearly state it, right? We talked about that. But if somebody tells me and it's kind of like attacking me, I will try to be like, I'm sorry, I'm really trying to understand what you're telling me, but I just don't know which hand movement I did or what I said, or please tell me what I did so I can do better the next time. And so I get them to actually explain my behavior, and then I can still be like, yeah, that actually makes sense. And like, again, maybe, and especially if we are from different culture, whatever, my world isn't your world. So if I say this, I meant it in a really nice way, and it came across like very rude, for example. And I can be like, oh, I'm really sorry. I didn't know that was considered rude in your culture, or just for you. It doesn't even need to be culture. It can be your neighbor where it doesn't work, your colleague, it doesn't matter. My world isn't your world. And people refer to that a lot. So if you tell yourself, my world isn't your world, let me try to understand yours, and then we can figure out how we can come together. That's
an interesting one, because that's also, I think it touches upon the last question too. Sometimes in that, in that spot where it's not submitting, but you're saying like, hey, I'm being vulnerable, like I'm willing to see your side of the story as well, so we can meet in the middle. But sometimes it can also feel overwhelming if a person really feels that they're right about something, like they have the right to feel a certain way. Everybody does, of course, but sometimes that also kills a conversation. So an interesting question that I got here: how do you break the habit of shrinking yourself to fit into someone's frame and still confidently state your preferences without feeling ashamed? Because I think sometimes you can feel a bit maybe dominated by someone's presence, not purposefully, but that can also lead to that spot where you feel like, yeah, that was a bit, maybe I should, be a bit more reserved, maybe I shouldn't bring it this way, and then, you dim your own light. What is your thought and take on that?
Can I tell you a story about my 8th birthday?
Please.
So, it was my birthday. I had an amazing party, right? My mom would always have great parties, and I'm not sure, in every country there's different ice cream, but in Austria we have something that's called Twinni. And Twinni is like one green, like pear flavor or something, and one orange one. And every kid liked the green one. Apart from me, I really loved the orange one, which was great. So
more for you.
More for me. And it was really funny because my best friend, like, we were supposed to share the first one to then have another one, and my best friend, she came and she broke the ice cream into 2, and she handed me the green one, and she's like, today is your birthday, you're getting the green one. I was standing there with this green ice cream and I was like, should I tell her? Because she did that because she really loved me.
Yeah,
she wanted to,
yeah.
and I felt so bad. I was like, you know what, Valerie, we're gonna share another ice cream and then I will have the orange one, it's fine. The second ice cream never came. And since then, I regret not stating that I wanted the orange one because I was fine with the green one. But I really would have wanted to have the orange one, and I even knew that she wanted the green one, so it was a lose-lose.
Didn't make sense.
And so this is what I call the Twinni Effect. If I state what I want, I raise the chances of getting it by so much. And that's what I want to give to everybody. Please just state what you want, and don't be like, I have to have it, but I would really like to have the orange one. What about you? Then she will be like, I would really like to have the green one. Great. So
it works out perfectly.
It works out perfectly.
It's an interesting concept because I love saying preferences, but especially what you mentioned about raising the bar and to actually have a higher chance of succeeding to get your preference. You're still leaving, the table open to suggestions and, having room for the other to also decide like, hey, maybe I do want an orange one. But I think this space leaves room to also let the other think like, oh, hey, she actually wants an orange one. Like, definitely, and I don't mind getting a green one. So that's an interesting take on that. I didn't look at it like raising the bar, so that's even for me an interesting perspective to consider. In wrapping those questions up, I want to lean in one of the items that we touched upon a bit briefly in the beginning. You mentioned that leaders or managers in your environment, and especially when they are either having a presentation or needing to interact, I believe that in that same spot is also a certain area of discomfort. Do you feel that people or that you're leading or maybe that you're working with or coaching do feel that they do not want to go a lot into discomfort to get the results they want to?
Do I feel that they don't want to go into discomfort? No, I think the most leaders, and that is maybe one thing that makes them a successful leader or manager, they know that they grow in the zone of discomfort. So it's not that bad. Like even just discussing about if the water is hot or cold is already discomfort. But if we manage to talk about it, we're good, right? So.
And one thing that I discovered for my audience, the younger generation, is that people want to make progress and wish to grow, but they actually don't want the friction that comes with it. It's just like basically planting a tree, and then the tree tells or wants to grow out of the soil, and the soil says, well, that's not going to happen. I think you need to have that ability and sense to allow that friction. How can people start to allow a sense of friction in their world to still be able to tap into their potential, but not necessarily take a cold shower or ice bath instantly?
I hate ice baths.
Do you actually do it, or is it? Okay.
Absolutely. Like I have a friend and he's always like a colleague and he's like, Val, you gotta do ice bathing. I'm like, no, honestly, it's not my thing. And so everybody has to find their own path, right? And I think one thing that really helped me is there's like no wrong turn. There is none. You always learn something out of the next thing that you're doing. And as long as you keep that in mind, and even if it was a crappy job or a crappy boss, terrible team, anything, it teaches you so much. Actually, the worst times teach you the most. So embrace it and just find a way to balance it. Meditate, do yoga, go running, meet your friends. Don't do excessive alcohol.
No. I love it. So one thing that I noticed in the same area too, sometimes people still are also very incisive. By constantly waiting for others to basically ask for approval if things are right. I also think they deny themselves the opportunity to take in their place and leave them, at the sidelines basically. So what is a first mental shift that is required to step out of that passenger seat and actually start making decisions for yourself?
That's a good question. I don't usually cover that with my leaders because they're usually already in a position where they have to take decisions, and I don't teach the teams to do so. But let me think of something that could help people. I think just trust yourself. Like I said, there's no wrong. Just try. I've done thousands of different things. My first job was when I was 16. You know, do you think I had all the answers? No. But when I was 17, I had 250 kids from Africa, which I led around Austria.
Wow.
Because I was the only person being able to speak English, right?
Really?
Or English well enough.
Yeah.
So I speak English and German. I do all of my trainings, seminars, or keynotes in both languages. But that's what really helped me.
How important do you think is making decisions for your success? Because what I think is that oftentimes people have the saying that poor people make decisions slowly and change them quickly, and rich people make decisions quickly and change them slowly. I think if you really stick to something and you're committed to it, find out if it works. If it doesn't, then you can change. What's your take on that? How important do you think decision making is for you?
I think a lot of people exaggerate the importance of like making decisions. And yes, obviously, if I spend 10,000 euros on something for my education and then it's crap, oh my God, that really sucks, obviously. But again, I learned something. I learned to know exactly what I look for. And for me, I've talked about my vision board. I think having a vision of where you go is more important than having a clear steps and processes to get you there. Because there will be thousands of things that will come in between. You'll meet people, we'll talk to people, and having a system in order is great. But just like steering in the right direction and taking up everything that you find along the path is what gets you there and what makes you more interesting.
Well, that's for sure. What do you think would be a perspective or a question or a mindset people could consider when they're either procrastinating or not taking action? Because I think that's where a lot of people stay. And then...
Yes. Procrastination is a tough thing. I sometimes also have that, but there is a coaching method which is called the camel wheel method.
Okay.
And what you do is, instead of having this task, which looks terrible and I won't make it and it's just too much, you just break it down into, I open my laptop. Can I do that? Yes. I look at the first email. Can I do that? Yes. And it doesn't have to be that tiny, but you break it down into very manageable chunks. And you just say, I start. You don't even have to say, I will sit for 5 hours and I will do it all. Just start with the first thing. And it's so helpful. So
you would say that if you make a habit of the small things, then you can also make a habit of the bigger things.
Yeah, absolutely. You only accomplish the bigger things if you manage to get through the small things.
Exactly. And Valerie, before we go into the wrap up, I think there's a pretty interesting object that is laying in front of you. For the viewers who did not know, this is something that's been laying on the table all day. But Valerie, could you please enlighten us why this banana is here and why, and what does it mean and what does it do?
Okay, so the blue dotted banana is my leadership framework, and the blue dotted banana is also my keynote topic. So it's a metaphor. It's a metaphor, and again, I will tell you a story because I've had a new I've had a new team member, and me and my 2 male colleagues, we had to go to a client. So I asked him if he could do the hotel booking. he was very young, so he asked me, how expensive should the hotel be? And I was like, cheap, the client doesn't want to spend so much. And he's like, yeah, great, we'll do that. And he came back and he's like, the room is so great, and the room is so great. And when he said the room is so great for the third time, I was like, well, what exactly did you book? And he's like, a 3-bedroom.
Wow, that's fascinating. That's very fascinating.
And it was so funny because I guess to you it was pretty clear that me and my 2 male colleagues, we couldn't sleep in the same. Yes. So Robin, you and I, we're from the same world. We're from a world where we have trees with bananas growing there. And these bananas look like that. And if I say banana, you have the exact same image in your head. But if you're from a different world, different background, different knowledge, if I say banana, you just hear banana. So if I say I communicated banana, it says it was clear to me, but unclear to you. And that's actually what we just had when I messaged you that we will meet at 15:30, which is the military time. And then you answered, great, let's meet at 1:30. And I was like, wait a second. No, one is 1:30 p.m. and one is 3:30 p.m. I thought you knew the military system. But see, I communicated banana, clear to me, but unclear to you.
Yeah.
And that is a framework I love because it applies so much to leadership, because you have so many team members, so many different clients, and only because you explain something that's clear to you doesn't mean it's clear to others. So,
and how do you aim to apply that framework, for example, so that it actually compounds into the life of somebody else?
Communicate the dots. Just be very explicit and make sure that your counterpart understands what you're saying.
Incredible. And I think in wrapping up, first of all, thank you for all the incredible insights. It was really amazing having you. Well, I could not leave with this question. So, if you could leave the young generation with one last piece of advice, what would that be?
My world isn't your world. That will help you every single day of your life.
Thank you, Valerie. Could you break it down just for the ones that are, maybe haven't caught the message, but how could that show into their own lives, and how should they start thinking about what you just said for your advice?
If somebody is attacking you, if somebody is like putting you down or something, they have a reason for it. And it might not be clear to you, but they're right in what they're thinking, because that's the way they perceived it. Try to understand how they perceived reality, and then you can come together and have a better conversation.
I think that's incredible and invaluable advice to anybody watching, even not the younger generation. So I think a lot of people can learn from that. Well, guys, in wrapping up, this was already the interview. Tomorrow I will be interviewing a performance and mental well-being coach also in Vienna. Subscribe and like only if you think it's valuable, because I really need you to consider and make the product of your own conclusion. And then I would love to see you the next time in the channel. Bye!